We will say the Mangalacharan and the Guru Pranam mantra. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Harijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Jayatam Surato Pangor Mama Matirgati Matsarvasva Padam Bojo Radha Madana Mohana Divyat Vrindaranyo Kalpadrumadaha Srimat Ratnagado Simhasanosto Sriman Radha Srila Govinda Devo Prashtalibihi Sevyamano Smarami Shriman Rasarasarambi Vamsivatastatastitah Karshan Venu Sanargopir Gopinata Shristunaha Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriya Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Vishitharide Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudire Nastapayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Nivakalpatro phalam sukhamukha amritadravya samhitam pibat bhagavatam rasamalayam mukuraho rasika vipavakaha Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaaya cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Nama Pankajanabhaya Nama Pankajamadine Nama Pankajanetraya Namaste Pankajangre Tvai me Ananda Vishaya Matir Madhupatiya Sakrit Pratim Udvahata Tada Gange Vaugam Mudandatihi. O Lord of sweetness, Madhupate, as the Ganga forever flows without hindrance to the sea, let my attraction be constantly drawn unto you without being diverted to anyone else. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vikna Vinashana Nrsimha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayitim Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Sri Guru Dinatharinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanyam Ishwaram Om Tat Sat. By the mercy of the spiritual master, a lame man can cross mountains, the blind can see the stars, and the mute can recite poetry. Such is the mercy of the spiritual master. By the grace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to our Srimad Bhagavatam session. So, we are doing chapter 18, Mhj Parikshit cursed by a Brahmana boy. and this is part 3. So we have done 2 parts before on this chapter. So let's do a recap of what we have covered so far in this chapter 18. So it began with so it says here Mhj Parikshit Mahabhagyam. So the chapter began by an account about the glories of Parikshit Maharaj, how Parikshit Maharaj was a great personality, and how he was very greatly fortunate because at the time of death he was able to hear the Srimad Bhagavatam in rapt attention, and in this way he attained the supreme most abode in the spiritual sky. So and so that is the great thing. So therefore this great fortune of Maharaj Parikshit, that he first of all he was born fortunate. He was Vishnu Rata, saved by the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, and he was brought up by none other than the Pandavas themselves, all pure devotees of the Lord. So wonderful pure association. And as he was growing up, he manifested the greatest of qualities for a king and for a devotee, very exemplary. The entire the world, the earth was the crest jewel of the 14 planetary systems in this universe, due to the presence of Maharaj Parikshit and by the blessings of the Pandavas and by the blessings of the Lord. So in this way, we heard about Maharaj Parikshit's Mahabhagyam. Then, but not everything was wonderful in his life, because here in this chapter we will hear how he was cursed by a Brahmana boy, cursed to die. And then we also heard about how Parikshit Maharaj, Kali. So Kali personified, we heard about this, how Kali personified came in the form dressed as a false king. And though he was dressed as a false king, he was performing severe adharma, irreligiosity. He was, in the name of the king, he was performing very bad irreligiosity. He was practically striking down the pillars of religion, personified in the form of the bull. And seeing this, the earth was crying, personified by the form of a cow. So, seeing this extraordinary situation, Parikshit Maharaj arrested Kali immediately, and we heard this all previously. And hearing all this, and then while he was discussing about this, Sutta Goswami drops hints about how Parikshit Maharaj was cursed by a Brahmana boy. So naturally, the sages of Naimisharanya forest, they wanted to hear more about this wonderful personality Parikshit Maharaj and the wonderful personality Sukadev Goswami, and how between both of them the wonderful narration of Srimad Bhagavatam took place. In what kind of extraordinary circumstances was so great a literature as Srimad Bhagavatam took place? So they wanted to know more details. So that we will hear in chapter 18 today. So the Rasavid sages express their Sushrutam. Sushrushatam means anxiety. They were such great listeners that they were anxious to hear. The word used was anxious. It was not like, oh, okay, you can speak if you like. No, no. It was anxiety. They were anxiety to hear more about this pastime. So we heard about how this is the qualification of a person who wants to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. So we should hear Srimad Bhagavatam in that mood, in the mood of that we really want to hear, we really want to, in a very serious manner. So things like Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, these are not joking matters. These are all serious conversations, serious discussions, and it's described in the Srimad Bhagavatam also how one should be, what kind of mood one should be. Sometimes in ISKCON we go in a mood, everything we take it very lightly. Sometimes we just want to have some mental entertainment, entertainment for the mind, entertainment for the intelligence. So in this way, in this mood, we approach a class, and we want to, get entertained by the class. So therefore, sometimes we get attracted to people who like to joke a lot, or but this is not the real way of hearing transcendental knowledge. It has to be done in the proper way, just like how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed Sanatan Goswami, just like how Sanatan Goswami instructed his disciples, just like how it came down in the disciplic successions. Uh, so, like how Krishna instructed to Arjuna. So, in the same way, we will also hear how Sukadev Goswami instructs to Parikshit Maharaj, and also how we hear the sages of Naimisaranya are so anxious to hear seriously from Sukadev Goswami, from Sutta Goswami. Anyway, some of the points we covered previously. So, submissive hearing is important. So, one should hear submissively. Hear what? Hear yaha katha bhagavata. Anything and everything that it's connected to Bhagavata. So it's not just that we choose and pick. We want to hear this thing. We don't want to hear philosophy. We only want to hear, wonderful sweet pastimes. And pastimes also. I only want to hear Radha Krishna pastime. I don't want to hear about Pandavas. I don't want to hear about anything else. No, it's not like that. So there is everything is it's part of the step by step process in which we change our consciousness. If we don't follow the formula correctly, then nothing is going to happen in the end. So submissive hearing of yaha katha bhagavata, anything and everything that has to do with the Bhagavata. And what is Bhagavata? Bhagavata not only means the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhagavata, I've mentioned this several times before. Bhagavata also means the devotees of the Lord. So anything to do with the Lord and his devotees. And the book which describes such things is also called the Bhagavata. So why we want to hear? Why we want to hear this in this way? To get complete perfection in life. This is the complete, so it's not just perfection, it's complete perfection in life. So this is the process. If we seriously and carefully study and hear Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, this will give us complete perfection in life. And Param Punyam, this is also called Param Punyam. This is the highest punya activity one can do. Period. Finish. So if we are already hearing Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Chaitanya Charitamrita, in a constant manner, right? Then there is nothing else that we need to do. No other samskara, no other prayaschita, no other yagya, nothing. Nothing else is needed if we are doing this thing constantly. So that is the param punyam. And then amritam for amrityanam. This is the amritam. This is the nectar of immortality for those who are destined to die. So that includes all of us in this material creation. From the lowest planetary systems to the highest planetary system of even Brahmaloka, everybody is going to go through mrityu or death. So this is actually the real, actual, original Amritam, because it will bring us to the spiritual world where we can live forever. Govinda Pada Padmasavam Madhu. So, and this process of devotional service, of hearing and serving Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, chanting the holy names, this process is not a difficult, dry, bad process. This process is so wonderful. It is madhu. It is padmas. It's not just madhu. Madhu means honey. It's not just madhu. It is padmasavam madhu. It is, intoxicating honey. So that is the symptom of one who is advancing in devotional service. We will become more and more attracted, more and more intoxicated. We want to hear more and more about everything and everything that has to do with the Bhagavata. So Govinda Pada Padmasavam Madhu. So this is the nature of devotional service. It is very sweet. Therefore, Satatam Kirtayanto Mam, yeah, so this devotional service is happily practiced. And then another point we talked about also, this was all what the sages were saying. The sages of Naimisharanya, they were presenting all these points to Sutta Goswami, trying to get Sutta Goswami to speak further. So they were telling all these things. And then they were also saying how the value of a moment of association of a pure devotee, right, is actually the greatest. It cannot be matched by liberation, by even all the worldly material benefits or even heavenly benefits, all plus together, cannot even match a value of a moment's association of the pure devotee. Nimisha Bhagavat. So therefore, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's this verse: Sadhu Sangha, Sarva, Sadhu Sangha, Sarva, something Hoy, Kaya, Lava Matra, Sadhu Sange, Sarva Siddhi Hoy. So Lava Matra means just a moment. Lava Matra, just a moment. Here it's mentioned as Nimisha. So in Bengali, it's Matra. So just a moment of sadhu sangha can give every perfection, sarva siddhi hoy, all perfections one can get. And then the sages continue, Ananta Arya Bhuta Gunanam, immeasurable. So this, what is being described over here, the glories of the devotees and the glories of the Lord. So particularly the glories of the Lord is Ananta Ati Adbhuta. The glories of the Lord is first of all Ananta. Ananta means unlimited, unlimited. And it is Adi Adbhuta, not just Adbhuta, Adi Adbhuta. Adbhuta means wonderful, amazing. But Adi Adbhuta means very amazing or very wonderful or extremely wonderful. And what is extremely wonderful? What is unlimited? Gunanam, the qualities of the Lord. It's so wonderful that it's immeasurable even by great personalities like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. So we talked about this previously. So therefore, who is there not willing to hear these wonderful narrations of the Supreme Lord and his devotees? Rasavit. So such people who are attracted to hear this, they are called Rasavit. Very expert in mellows. These are people who really want to hear. Susrushtatam, that means anxiously. They are expert in relishing the mellows and they are anxious to hear. And even after hearing so many times, they are never triplet. It means never satisfied. They still want to hear more, even though they hear the same thing again and again and again and again, just like how one chants the Hare Krishna mantra again and again and again. So the sign of advancement is one day we will develop ruchi. Ruchi means taste. So then we will want to hear more and more. We want to say more and more, right? Bhagavatam Amritam. Bhagavatam Abrahman. So this is what we want to see. And Sutta Mahatma. So who should we hear from? What where it takes two to tango, they say. So the qualifications of the listener has been described, but the qualification of the speaker is also very important. So Suta Goswami is glorified here by the sages of Naimisaranya. He is called as Mahattama. Mahattama means one of the greatest of the great. Mahattama, the greatest of the great. So we should hear from such personalities. Great means doesn't mean they are very, it doesn't mean powerful or rich. It's not that kind of a great. Great here means talking about spiritual wealth. One who is rich in spiritual wealth. Mahattama. Vidwan. Vidwan means one who is knowledgeable about the scriptures, about the devotional service. And Bhagavat. It's not enough that they are great. It's not enough that they are knowledgeable. They should also be Bhagavat. This is the most important quality. Bhagavat. Bhagavat means they must be devotee. And what kind of Bhagavat? Pure devotee. So that means how do we define a pure devotee? A pure devotee is also given the description. He is Haritoshanam. He doesn't, his only motivation in everything that he does is to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Haritoshanam. To please Hari. That's all. No other motive. No other sub motive, nothing like that. So it's only one motive. Ekanta. one direction. So that is a pure devotee. So this is all that we covered previous session. So now we will continue 18:18. This is chapter 18, verse 18. So it begins with this very nice verse. So I'll read it. Suta uvacha aho vayam janma brito adya hasma vridhanuvartyapi viloma jataha tauskulyam adim vidunoti shigram mahattamanam abhidhana yogaha. So the first two lines, Sutra Uvacha. So Sutra Goswami is speaking to the sages now. So just now, earlier, the sages were glorifying Suta Goswami. They were telling about how anxious they are to hear more. So now Suta Goswami responds to them. He begins by saying, first he tells, because the sages called him great, Mahattama. So, and the sages called him Vidwan. So, then we may ask, what are we doing hearing from people? We should be only hearing from these people. So, therefore, now Sutta Goswami describes. So, what's important is, although we are born in a mixed caste, so Sutta Goswami, he's saying, we are born in a mixed caste and we are still promoted in birthright. So he is not born as a pure Brahmana, Sutta Goswami. So one doesn't have to be, just now the qualities I mentioned, right? Vidwan, Mahattama, Bhagavad. So these qualities are not exclusively only for the Brahmana born. It's not like that. Anyone from any birth can attain that position in order to, so how do they attain it? So although we are born in a mixed caste, but still we are promoted in birthright. How are we promoted? How is Sutta Goswami promoted to the point where he is able to speak Srimad Bhagavatam, even though he is born in a low family? So it's described that his mother was a Sudra woman, so therefore he's a mixed caste, but still he was in a position where the rest of the sages of Naimisaranya were all hearing from him. How did he attain this? So Sutta Goswami himself is telling. This is the conclusion of Shastra. Simply by Vriddha Anuvritya. This is the qualification. So even one of any kind of birth can attain this position of speaking Srimad Bhagavatam simply by Vriddha Anuvritya. What is Vriddha Anuvritya? First, Anuvritya means simply by serving and following. Simply by serving and following, that's Anuvritya. Serving and following who? Serving and following a Vriddha. Vriddha means those who are great, who are advanced in knowledge. So we may not be advanced in knowledge, we may not be great, we may not be Vidwan, we may not be Mahattama, we may not be even well born in all kinds of situations. But if we have heard, if we have served and we have followed in the footsteps of the great personalities, like Srila Prabhupada. In ISKCON, everybody takes Siksha instructions from Srila Prabhupada. So if we hear the instructions carefully, if we study the script, the books written by Srila Prabhupada carefully, right, and we follow the instructions left by Srila Prabhupada to the best of our ability, right, then we also come to that level where we can at least speak, not because we are great, but because we are following in the process given to us by those who are great. So by following those who are great, we become one of the postmen, right? It's like a postman. We become one of the postmen where we become qualified to pass on this information. So the great who are advanced in knowledge, this is called Vriddha. So if you go to Mayapur, there is Vriddha has several meanings. One is it means also one is great. It means one who is great, advanced in knowledge. And another meaning for Vriddha is one who is uh, very, very elderly. So, of course, generally, those who are very, very elderly are also known as Vriddha. But here, Prabhupada specifically mentions those who are advanced or great in knowledge. So, if you go to Mayapur, there is there's Vriddha Shiva. Lord Shiva is called Vriddha because he's the oldest over there in that place. So there's a temple of Vriddha Shiva. So Prabhupada comments, transcendental science or the science of Krishna has to be learned from the authorities. We cannot learn it from our own. And when one preaches the science, he becomes still more qualified. So simply by trying to preach, so preaching is nothing difficult. It is simply uh, hearing, hearing seriously from the great personalities and simply repeating that as per our understanding, simply repeating what we have heard to others. So simply by doing that process, Krishna becomes very pleased and our qualifications increase. So that's the secret. So Sutta Goswami had both the advantages, Prabhupada says. So why is this the case? Why is it that simply by serving and following the great devotees who are advanced in knowledge, one is able to do this? Why? Because of their connection with the Supreme God. You know, we have already heard in earlier chapters, I think in chapter 4 or something, we heard how Yudhishthira Maharaj received Vidura. If you remember that, not chapter 4, chapter 6, something like that, where we heard Vidura was received by Yudhishthira Maharaj. And what did Yudhishthira Maharaj say? Yudhishthira Maharaj, this verse is given, right? Bhavad Vida Bhagavatas Tirtha Bhuta Swayam Vibho Tirti Kurvanti Tirtani Swantastena Gadabhrita. So the pure devotees of the Lord are just like the Lord because they carry the Lord in their hearts. So wherever they are going, because they are carrying the Lord in their hearts, they become like a walking pilgrimage, a walking place of pilgrimage. That means it's they themselves, the devotees are the place of pilgrimage. So wherever they go, they purify the land because they carry the Supreme Personality of Godhead in their heart. So that is the understanding. So what is the reason? The reason is because even by conversing with such great souls, one can without delay cleanse oneself of all disqualifications resulting from lower births. So this is the verse here. Dauskulyam adim vibhunoti sigram mahatmam abhidana yoga. So sigram, very quickly, without delay, one can without delay cleanse oneself, right? Vidunoti means is to cleanse oneself. Cleanse oneself of what? Spulium, all the uh, disqualifications, all kinds of disqualifications of birth or whatever it is. Very quickly, Sigram, they can be purified or they can be cleansed. How come? Simply by Mahatmanam Abhidana Yoga. Simply by conversation, by having a conversation. So it's not Abhidana means conversation, yoga, that means in connection, connected with the conversation with such pure devotees. So what kind of conversation we can have with them? When we hear from them about the pastimes of the Lord, the qualities of the Lord. So in other words, simply by a short amount of time where we converse with such pure devotees, very quickly we can become purified. So how we can quickly become purified? Remember, not only the qualification of the speaker, we also must be qualified. We must also remember the earlier verses where we talked about the rishis. They were saying we must be enthusiastic. We must be anxious to hear. then, then the yoga forms, the connection forms. Anxious listener, and pure devotee of the Lord, anxious listener, then the union forms. Perfect flow of knowledge. And continues. So, what to speak of those chanting the holy name? So, simply by conversing, simply by short conversation with pure devotees, one can quickly become purified. So, this is called Agyata Sukruti. So, that's why we must take the opportunity to serve pure devotees. right? In the second, when we recite the Srimad Bhagavatam invocation mantras, we say, Nascha prayesu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya. Bhagavate uttama sloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. So nityam bhagavata sevaya. So nityam bhagavata sevaya, again it means two things. Always serving the Bhagavan, the Supreme Lord, but also it means nityam bhagavata sevaya, always serving the devotee of the Lord. So that is the thing. So just by serving them, one can become quickly purified. What to speak of those who have taken up the chanting of the holy name under the direction of these people? So simply by serving such devotees, one already gets elevated. Even more powerful are those people who not just simply serving them, but who have taken direction under them. That means they have taken initiation under them. So those who have taken initiation or taken direction from them and who are chanting the holy names, even so much more they are, what do you call, uh, uh, even so much more they are, the mercy flows to them. So therefore, this becomes an important point also. So serving the pure devotees, more important is to take direction from them. That's why tad vidhi pranipatena pariprasnena sevaya, by humble service and taking instruction. So the instruction is very important. So sometimes we serve, but what they say we don't follow. So we must follow. Between the seva and the vani is the instruction. The instruction is more powerful. So simply by taking the instruction of those pure devotees seriously and to heart, then that is very, very powerful. So these are all processes in which very quickly we can purify oneself. So Srimad Bhagavatam is giving all these things. So what to speak of those chanting the holy names under the direction of the great personalities? Having taken, so who are these great personalities? We must ensure that these great personalities are pure devotees. Ekanta parayanasya. Ekanta, not mixed devotees. Ekanta means one who is exclusively only trying to please the Supreme Lord. So that's a pure devotee, right? And one who is surrendered to him. Parayanasya. Parayanasya means surrendered to Bhagavan Ananto, to the unlimited Bhagavan. So we must find such devotees. This is our purpose in life. We must look for such devotees seriously, one who has surrendered himself to the service of the Supreme Unlimited Lord exclusively. That means his desire and his motives and his goals uh, are all ultimately for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. So this is not necessarily only a sannyasi. It can be one in any of the ashrams, even a grahastha, because in any situation, one can be serving the Lord directly, right? So if that is the ultimate goal, right? If like for a grahastha, the grahastha has a family, the grahastha works, earns a living, but if his ultimate purpose is to ensure that his family becomes Krishna conscious, that everything is used for the pleasure of the Lord, that the house belongs to the Supreme Lord, the guest who comes into the house are all for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. So in that way, then one is also, even such a person, a grahastha, is also considered one who is Kanta, a pure devotee. His aim is simply to serve the unlimited Supreme Lord. So on account of him possessing Ananto Mahat Guna, so this Supreme Lord is called Ananta. So here now a bit of glorification of the Supreme Lord. So the Lord is known as Ananta. Why? Why is he called as Ananta Bhagavan? Because he has Ananta Mahat Guna, unlimited great qualities. Mahat means very great, and Guna means qualities. He has unlimited great qualities, right? And unlimited Ananta Shakti. So unlimited qualities, unlimited Shakti, right? unlimited names and unlimited pastimes. So this is the quality of the Lord, and therefore he's called unlimited, Ananta Bhagavan. So Prabhupada is saying, Parameshwara, Parabrahman, according to the Shrutis, has nothing to do. He has no equal, nor does anyone excel him. Param Ishvara, the supreme controller. Para Brahman, the ultimate reservoir of the Brahman, right? The great Brahman. According to the Vedas, he has nothing to do. Why he has nothing to do? Because everything that he wants is served by his Shaktis. He has unlimited Shaktis, which is automatically serving and doing whatever that he is desiring. So therefore, the Lord can there are two things the Lord can do. Either the Lord can have unlimited pastimes, right? All he has to do, he doesn't have to work. There's no work for him. He has nothing to do. So his entire life is just to have pastimes after pastimes after pastimes. That is why he is called Purushottama. That is why he is called Purusha, the unlimited enjoyer. So he can either do that or he can sleep. If we have nothing to do, what we do? We will sleep, isn't it? So therefore, the Lord also sleeps. So therefore, he's trying to show here, simply by sleeping, he creates and maintains the entire material universe. Can anyone do that? Simply by sleeping, can we maintain organizations? Can we maintain the country? Can we maintain our families? Can we maintain everything? Right? Imagine a prime minister who comes and simply sleeps, or you imagine a king who simply sleeps. So, or a chief engineer who simply sleeps in his company. Nothing will get done. But the Supreme Lord is not like that. Simply by sleeping, he's trying to show how he is supreme. Right? He's sleeping, but at the same time, his energies are all acting automatically, and the entire innumerable material creations are all being created. So this is a wonderful example and explanation about the unlimited quality of the Supreme Lord. So the verse continues, it is now ascertained that he is unlimited. Okay, no question about it. That's it. Right? Why he's unlimited? Because unlimited quality, unlimited names, unlimited Leela, unlimited Shakti, unlimited qualities. Yeah. So it is now no question about it. He's unlimited. And there is none equal to him. Nobody is like him. He is the only one, unique. Ananti Sayanasya. He is the only one. No one comes even close. And because of this, consequently, there is no one who can speak of him adequately. So nobody in this creation can speak adequately enough to glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead. How is it possible? Right? Because the Lord is unlimited, but we are not unlimited, and his glory is unlimited. Time is not unlimited for us. There is not enough time, enough understanding, enough this one for us to glorify. So one can continuously glorify and glorify, right? Even Lord Brahma cannot continuously glorify. He can continue and continue, but whatever he will say, whatever I'm saying, whatever anyone is saying, is not enough to do justice to the wonderful qualities of the Lord. We are simply shining a torchlight at one corner of the personality of Godhead. That's all. And even that is so wonderful. But still, there are people trying. So the pure devotees of the Lord, the preachers and everybody, we continuously try to glorify the Lord. Satatam kirtayantu mam. They are eternally and always trying to chant the glories of the Lord. So such a personality is Ananta Sesh. So the Lord is very interesting. So the Lord is Ananta. So he also expands himself as Ananta Sesh. So who can glorify the Lord? Only the Lord can glorify the Lord, because the Lord is unlimited, and therefore to glorify the unlimited, he must come as a expansion of Ananta Sesh. So Ananta Sesh is coming from Sankarshan. Anantasesh is coming from Sankarshan, and Sankarshan is expansion of Vishnu, one of the Vishnus, right? And he has unlimited hoods. You can see here so many hoods, and he has unlimited mouth, and he has unlimited time also. And Sankarshan, being being an expansion of the Lord, is also like the Lord. But even so, he is continuously chanting and chanting and chanting. Every second, he's chanting the glories of the Lord. But it's going on even until now. It's not finished. So that is the greatness of the glories of the Lord. So we should be so fortunate to hear even a little bit of the glorification of the Lord. So there are different ways the Lord can be glorified. So then Sutta Goswami continues. The goddess of fortune, Lakshmi Devi, whom even the great demigods cannot obtain the favor of, even by prayers. So this is something we need to know about. So Mahalakshmi is such a personality, she's not easily pleased. The great demigods tried to obtain her favor by so many wonderful prayers. But, you know, so when did this happen? This happened during the birth of the emergence of Lakshmi Devi. So in this material creation, Lakshmi Devi emerged from the ocean of milk. There's an ocean of milk in the universe, and this ocean of milk contains all kinds of treasures. And at one time, these devatas and the demigods, they wanted to get the treasures of this ocean of milk. So the ocean of milk was so great. This is the Shira ocean. Shiro Dakashai Vishnu. We say Shiro Dakashai Vishnu, right? The Vishnu who lies on the ocean of milk. So that ocean of milk, they wanted to churn it. They wanted to churn. Churn means it's like to blend. It's like to blend it. How can anyone blend the ocean of milk in which Shirodakashayi Vishnu is lying on? Right? So it would take some cooperation. So the Devatas and the demigods, the Devatas and the Asuras, they had a cooperation, a very rare time when they decided to cooperate together in order to get, actually their main purpose is they wanted to get Amrita, the nectar of immortality. Of all the treasures within the ocean of milk, the Asuras were thinking that the nectar of immortality was the greatest treasure. So they wanted that. So what they did, you can see this picture. This picture is very nice painting. If you go to Thailand airport, the Subarna Bhumi airport, you will see this huge effigy of Vasuki. This is the snake Vasuki, and the snake Vasuki is used as a rope. So this is the ocean of milk, and in the ocean of milk, in order to churn, they needed a churning rod. So they got Mandara Mountain. Mandara Mountain is a huge mountain in Bhuloka, in the center of Bhuloka. The Bhumandal is a plain, and in this Bhumandala, Earth is just one of the planets which is floating around in Bhumandala. And in the center of Bhumandala, there is a huge mountain called Meru. So this mountain is used as a turning rod. This mountain is so huge. So how to support the mountain? So of course the Devatas couldn't do it. So out of compassion, the Lord, so Lord Vishnu, he was the one who gave this idea to them because he wanted to benedict them, but he also wanted them to earn it. So therefore, he expanded himself as Ajita, pretending to be one of the Devatas. So that's one of the partial expansions of the Lord, Saktyavesh Avatar. So he came as Ajita, and he led the demigods into this cooperation. And then in order to support the mountain, he came as Lord Kurma, so as the tortoise. So a huge tortoise incarnation, he entered into the ocean, and then he supported the mountain on his back. And it was described that he was using because the Lord had an itch in his back. It seems the description was the Lord had an itch on his back, So he wanted to scratch that edge. So therefore, of course, when the Lord does something, he does it magnificently. So he took the incarnation of a tortoise, and then he put the mountain on his back. And as the mountain was being churned, as the mountain was being turned, the rod was used as a rod. It was scratching the back of Kurma Avatar. So therefore, he was enjoying the feeling. So this is the description of the Kurma Avatar on how the Samudra Mandan. Samudra Mandan means the churning of the Samudra ocean. And so at the bottom, there's Kurma Avatar. At the top, Lord needed to support this Mandara mountain. So bottom is supported, but the top also needs to be supported and positioned. So the Lord came and stood on the top of the mountain and manifested innumerable arms. So therefore, the Lord on top, Lord at the bottom, and then Lord in the form of Ajita to lead the Devatas and the Asuras in this cooperation. So in this way, they were churning and churning and churning. So the first thing to come out from the churning of the ocean was poison. So poison first came, and then Lord Shiva drank up the poison to save all the Devatas. So otherwise, everything will get destroyed. Mm. So because he drank the poison remains at his throat. He never swallowed it. He keeps it at his throat, and it turned his neck blue. So one of the names of Lord Shiva is Nilakanta. Nilakanta means blue neck because he drank the poison. So this is the mercy of Lord Shiva for all the living entities. So everybody had a part to play in this universe. So the first thing that came was Hala Hala. Second thing that came was Surabi, the amazing cow, the heavenly cow, Surabi. And then came the horse, Uchai and then came Airavata, the elephant, and then came the Kaustuba Mani, the gem, which is adorning Lord Vishnu's chest. And then came Parijata flower, and then finally came, no, before that, and then after Parijata flower, the eighth item to come out from the churning ocean was none other than Lakshmi Devi. So Lakshmi Devi was born from the ocean of milk. So therefore, one of the names of Lakshmi is Shirja. Sir Aja. Shira Aja. Shira means milk. Aja means born. So one who is born from the ocean of milk. So that's one of her names, Shirja. So when she was born, when she came out from the ocean of milk, she was so wonderful, she was so wondrous. All the Devatas and the Asuras, they were entranced by her. So, and they were trying to gain her favor. So they offered wonderful prayers. They immediately brought all kinds of wonderful things, paraphernalia. They were trying to, they were positioning themselves in such a way. They were trying to win her favor, hoping that she will favor them with her glance. But despite all of this, Lakshmi Devi wasn't interested. She was so great, and she couldn't find anybody who was as great as her or even greater than her. So except one person, and that was none other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this Lakshmi Devi, right? So it said, the goddess of fortune, of whom even great demigods cannot obtain the favor of, even by wonderful prayers. But this person, uh, Lakshmi, same very goddess, she renders service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to the lotus feet, to the Angri Renum, to the not only the lotus feet, it's described here to the dust of the lotus feet of the Lord. The word Renum here means dust. So she is serving the dust of the lotus feet of the Lord voluntarily. So it's described that when she came out from the ocean of milk, she couldn't see anybody else who was worthy. So that, but except one person. So she immediately went to that one person and she garlanded that person, requesting that person to accept her as his wife. So this is none other than Lord Vishnu himself. So and she, Lord Vishnu, but you see the verse here. This goddess is rendering service to lotus feet, the dust of the lotus feet of the Lord. Although the Lord is unwilling to have such service. So it's described that the Lord is, what are the six opulences of the Lord? We know the Lord is all powerful, all intelligent. He is also the reservoir of all mystic powers. He has all fame. He's the most famous personality. He is the most beautiful, the most wonderful personality, right? But there is one more. He is all renounced. Nobody can match him in renunciation. He is completely aloof of everything. So he is called Atmaram. He takes pleasure of his own self. He doesn't need anybody or he doesn't need anything. But still, he comes and showers his mercy on the devotees. Mm. So this is the wonderful nature of the Lord. This is the paradox. So therefore, he was unwilling to be served. He didn't need the service from Lakshmi, but Lakshmi wanted the service of Lord Vishnu. So this is such a great, such a great personality, Lakshmi, right? So many people wanted to have her for favor. Lakshmi wants the favor of Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu is not even interested, but still Lakshmi is serving the Lord in this way. So this is a roundabout way in which we are glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When such a person is glorified and served by great personalities, imagine how great that personality is. So who can be worthy? Who else? Who else can be worthy of the name of the Supreme Lord? Who else is Bhagavan other than Mukunda? Who else is Swayam Bhagavan other than that personality called Mukunda? So Prabhupada says, right, the Supreme Personality, no one can excel him. He has unlimited tendencies. His every action is carried out systematically in his natural ways. Thus, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is full in himself. He is Atmaram, and he has nothing to accept from anyone else. But still, the Lord is also known as Rasagrahi. He wants devotional service. He wants to have a relationship, and he created the living entities, and he wants to enjoy the mellows of that sweet reciprocation of the relationship between the jivas and himself. So this is the nature of the Lord. He is independent. He is supremely swarat, right? But still, he wants to have this relationship with the jivas. So that is our fortune, right? Otherwise, what is our position, right? So, but because of the great mercy of the Supreme Lord, right? So we have this great fortune to render direct service to him and have relationship with the Supreme Lord. So who else can have this name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead other than Mukunda? So even the great personalities like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, right? Even they there's nothing that the Lord wants even from them. But still, right? There's one thing that the Lord wants, and that is the love, the prema. Therefore, he says, right? If you offer me a flower, a leaf, a fruit, or water, patram pushpam phalam toyam. If you offer me any of these things, what is a flower? What is a fruit? These are all nothing, right? But the important ingredient here is bhakti. If you offer me with love and devotion, then I will accept. So the Lord is open to reciprocation of love and devotion. And according to our reciprocation, the Lord will reciprocate back with us, right? What's that verse? ये यथा मां प्रपद्यन्ते तं तथैव भजाम्यहम् ममावात्मानुवर्तन्ते manushya partha sarvasah. So Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Ye yata mam prapadyante, as you surrender to me, I reciprocate with you. Mam stataiva bhajami aham. So then Sutta Goswami continues, even great personalities like Brahma, so one of the names of Brahma is Virincha. Virincha means one who is beyond the mode of passion. So anyway, that's Brahma. Though Brahma is the Lord of mode of passion, because he's the Lord of the mode of passion, he is called Virincha. So he controls it. It's beyond it. So Lord Brahma, what he did, so in order to sufficiently worship this great personality, Lord Brahma, what he did was he collected the water emanating from the Pada Naga. Pada means feet, Naka means nails, Nagam, right? In Tamil we say. So from the nail of the feet of the Lord. When was this opportunity there? Where how did Lord Brahma do this? This happened during the pastime of Trivikrama. You know, when Trivikrama, during the pastimes of Bali Maharaj, when he begged Bali Maharaj for 3 steps of land, and then Bali Maharaj gave him that benediction. So in the first step, he was just a small Brahmana boy, a dwarf Brahmana boy. In the first step, he covered the entire upper planetary systems. In the second step, he covered the entire lower planetary systems. And then in the third step, he put it on Lord. He asked Lord Bali Maharaj, where shall I put my third step? And Bali Maharaj said, okay, you can put it on my own head. So he surrendered himself for the pleasure of the Lord. So because of that, just because of that, Vamana Dev came personally and came with Bali Maharaj and stayed with Bali Maharaj. He acted as his doorkeeper in his palace until he becomes Indra in his next life. So that is Bali Maharaj's greatness because of that one service, because he gave himself up for that. So whatever service we do for the Lord is never, never in vain. It's always, of course, the devotee never thinks like that. He never thinks because he wants something in return. But this is the nature of the Lord. If we think we want something in return and we're giving something to the Lord because we want something in return, it will not work. It will not work to attract the Lord because the Lord is unlimited. He doesn't need anything from us. But if we do it with the essential ingredient of bhakti, simply because we want to please the Lord, right? Then that attracts the Lord. So Brahma did. So anyway, when this happened, Trivikrama, so he's called Trivikrama because one of 3 steps. So with the first step, you can see he lifted his leg and covered the entire upper planetary system. And it's described that when he covered the entire planetary system, his toe, the big toe, pierced the covering of the universe. And what's outside the universe? If you remember, the universe is like an egg floating in the ocean of creation. So this ocean of creation is called Garbhodaka. So the water from the Garbhodaka ocean entered into the universe at the place where the Lord, the covering of the universe with his toe, sorry. So the water washed the toe of the Lord and flowed down. And as it flowed down, Lord Brahma always carries a water pot. So this is the water pot which he carries. He collected that water pot, some of it, the rest of it flowed down. So this Brahma collected the water emanating from the nails of the feet of the Lord in order to award it to Lord Shiva as a worshipful welcome. So this is how devotees, uh, you know, so during festivals we do Abhishek of the Lord, and when we do Abhishek, we collect the water, and that is called Charanamrita, and we offer the Charanamrita to each other, right? So this is what the devotees do. They glorify the Lord by drinking and honoring Charanamrita and by offering it to others as a very, very wonderful beverage in out of respect for that person. So Lord Brahma collected this Charanamrita of the waters coming from the washed from the lotus feet of the Lord, and he offered it to Lord Shiva. He he offered it to Lord Shiva as a worshipful welcome. It's called Argyam. Argyam means it's a special kind of a drink which we offer for guests to refresh them. But Lord Shiva wasn't satisfied. He didn't want just that small amount of Kamandulu. So what Lord Shiva did, he went and stood right under the pouring of the water. So the water was pouring down from the the top of the universe coming from Satyaloka is pouring down, right? And it's said that water, when it pours down, it's pouring from such a height that when it finally hits Earth, the water falling down and falling on the earth will shatter due to the weight of the water falling down, right? The momentum of the water falling down, it strikes the earth, it is enough to shatter the earth. So in order to protect the earth, Lord Shiva came and stood in between the earth and the water pouring down, and the water struck his head. So the water struck his head, and then from there it started to pour down onto earth in the form of Ganga. So this is the way Ganga was born. So by from the lotus feet of the Lord, right? Ganga emanated from the nails of the lotus feet of the Lord, coming from the Garbhodakashayi ocean outside. And this water which is falling down on earth is called Ganga. And she dropped on the head of Lord Shiva, right? Completely immersing Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva wasn't satisfied with just Argham. He wanted he wanted to bathe in the water which has washed the lotus feet of the Lord. And that's why the water of Ganga always comes from the head of Lord Shiva. So this water is taken, Lord, you know what we do with Karanamrita? We take it and we put it on our head and then we drink it, right? And then we rub it on the back of our head. So Lord Shiva did like that. So he's keeping Ganga water always on his head. So that is the glory. This very water, Ganga, is purifying the entire universe, including the auspicious Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva considers himself as Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu. He is the greatest amongst the Vaishnavas. And therefore, he wants to purify himself. This is his humility, right? So the Lord wanted to purify himself by bathing in the Charanamrita of the Lord, which has washed the lotus feet of the Lord. So here you have pictures. You can see how Ganga descends, coming down from heaven and enters, and before it falls on earth, Lord Shiva comes and saves the earth. And in this way, it falls on earth and then comes down in smaller rivulets so that it doesn't destroy the earth by the impact. So Dhiras, so therefore, who are serious in spiritual life, who are attached to the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, and all of a sudden give up the world of material attachment, including the gross body and subtle mind. So devotees who are serious devotees, advanced devotees, right? They have the power to anytime they can give up their life. And in the so therefore it says here, you can give up the world of material attachment, including the gross body and subtle mind. So their renunciation is very powerful. They can easily renounce the world, they can renounce the gross body, they can renounce the mind. We heard some of this. What was the example? We heard this example in previous sessions. If you remember, we heard how the Pandavas renounced the world. You know, the world was described. You know, if you remember how the Srimad Bhagavatam was describing the kingdom of Yudhishthira Maharaj, it was so glorious, it was so wonderful. It was even the people in heaven, in the higher planetary systems, were looking in awe of the beauty and the glory of the earth. But still, because Lord Krishna left the earth, it didn't matter to them. None of these things mattered to them. It doesn't matter that this world was so wonderful. All they could think of was to simply follow the Lord. So they were attached to the lotus feet of the Lord. And they felt like, with this earth, when the Lord is not here, what need do I have of all these things? He was the king, right? Imagine if we people, we don't even want to leave our life, our homes. Kings, they don't want to leave their kingdom. Ministers, people in power, they don't want to renounce their power. And this is just a small paltry thing. a small house or a small kingdom or a small country. They don't want to give up. But Yudhishthira Maharaj was in control of the greatest, uh, the earth was the greatest planet at that time due to the benediction given to him by Lord Krishna. But still, just like that, he gave it up. So these are called dhiras, right? They can give up the world of material attachment, including the gross body and subtle mind. So for them, renunciation is nothing. Why? For a normal person, renunciation is so difficult. But for a devotee of the Lord, renunciation is nothing. Why? Because their attraction for the lotus feet of the Lord is so great that it eclipses any other attachment for anything else. So, because they have a higher taste, the lower taste can be easily given up without even thinking. So, that's the secret of devotional service. That is how you can guarantee that when we take up devotional service, we will never come back to the material world again because our attachment to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is so strong that we will not be attracted to come back to the material world ever again. Right? Otherwise, those who are simply doing the yoga or in any other process, they want to attain liberation, they again have to come back to the material world because they are not attached to the spiritual world. Even though they are in the spiritual world, they will fall down again unless they have unless they have Krishna prema to keep them linked to the Supreme Lord. So it's a matter of attraction. So Prabhupada says only the self-control can gradually be attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, in order for us to become attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, what must we do? We must become self-controlled. So therefore, Prabhupada introduced the regulative principles, right? No meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit sex, no gambling. So by upholding this and to control our mind, the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So this is the process which gives us self-control to control the mind. What is self-control? Self-control means to control the mind, right? So one who's controlling the mind, then he can attain the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So self-control means not indulging in sense enjoyment more than is necessary. So Prabhupada is being merciful to all of us, right? So he says, enjoy. Who says you don't have to eat? Eat by all means, but eat only what is necessary. Don't have to do atyahara. No need to overeat and overindulge until we get disease of the stomach, disease of the liver, disease of everything, right? And we can control and regulate our eating. Let's keep our eating only to prasadam. So that is called regulation, controlling. So Prabhupada actually gave us every way in which we can bring our life to self-control, to self-regulation, simply by following this process. And if we think, oh, it's so difficult, I'm so lonely, I'm doing this alone. So therefore, he understood this. In Kali Yuga, it's difficult to do these things alone. So he created out of difficulty, he created the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, just so that we can have association, so that we can inspire and motivate each other, so that we can all do this together, right? So that is the wonderful mercy of Srila Prabhupada. So he actually laid foundation. He actually laid the foundation. He laid the facility. We simply have to take it up and hang on to it. Hang on to it. That's all. And the process automatically brings us one level to the next. So therefore, it says the Dhiras who are attached to the Supreme Lord can all of a sudden easily renounce everything and go away to attain Paramahamsyam. So when they give up something, what do they give it up for? Right? They give it up not to become nothing. They give it up so that they can attain Paramahamsa stage of renunciation. This is the highest stage of renunciation. Now, in renunciation, in sannyasis, there are four stages. There is Kutichaka, Bahudaka, Parivirjakacharya, and Paramahamsa. So the highest stage is Paramahamsa. That is when the renunciation is perfected. So for devotees, this renunciation, one doesn't have to become sannyasi. If you remember Bhagavad Gita chapter 18 says, you don't have to be sannyas. What is important is tyaga, not sannyas. The spirit of renunciation. That's what's important. It's not the dress, it's not the sannyas, right? And the highest spirit of renunciation, highest spirit of tyaga is that stage is called Paramahamsa. So Paramahamsa is the highest stage. Why is called Paramahamsa? Parama means ultimate, most. Hamsa means swan. So the swan is a very wonderful bird. Why it's wonderful? Because of course it's very beautiful. It's white, pristine. But the swan always associates with the lotus. It likes to be with the lotus. It's always playing and associating with the lotus only. Very different from the crow. The crow always likes to associate with rubbish, right? Whereas the swan always likes to associate with the lotus. And the lotus is described as, in so many times when we say lotus, 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 from by now, when we say lotus, immediately we should remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead's feet, right? Because lotus is his feet. So the Paramahamsa, the swan, likes to associate with the lotus always. So therefore, the pure devotee, the Paramahamsa, because he's always associating with the lotus feet of the Lord, he is able to attain the ultimate renunciation. And Prabhupada describes there are other good qualities for the swan. The swan is a bird, is a very special bird because it's able to separate. If you take milk and you mix it with water, right? Let's say 1 cup of milk and 1 cup of water, you mix it up together. Can you separate it back after that? It's not easy, isn't it? We have to boil the milk after that. The mixture, we have to boil it and boil it and boil it. It takes a long, 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 long time. It's a very hot, sweaty work. Anybody who has tried to make barfi will understand it's not easy to make barfi. It's a long time. That is if you just take pure milk. But this one, if you take milk and water, if you mix it together, this one is a special bird. It has the ability to only separate the milk back. So that means when the milk and water is mixed together, the swan with its beak can separate the milk from the water. That's how the Shastras describe. The swan has this special ability. So, in other words, it's able to separate pure devotion, or it's able to separate spirit from matter. People don't understand what is spiritual life, what is material things. So the swan is such, he can separate that very clearly. His vision is very clear. He's able to understand what is spirit, what is matter, what is pure devotion, what is mixed devotion. So that's why the swan is very much used as an allegory in many ways. Anyway, so the verse continues. So they are able to give up material attachment and take up and attain the highest level of renunciation of Paramahamsa, by which himsa and renunciation are swadharma. So the hallmark of renunciation is ahimsa, right? The Paramahamsa stage is basically ahimsa and perfection of renunciation. Ahimsa means non-violence. So that's why we follow the 4 regulative principles. By following the 4 regulative principles, we are serving this ahimsa and renunciation. So we can do that by devotional service. Simply by Shravanam, hearing, chanting, and taking up devotional service seriously, by accepting the Guru, right? Following the footsteps in this way, we can come to this stage of Paramahamsa. So Prabhupada said, but this is very rare. Such a great personality is very rare in this world. So naturally, it's not, you don't find them too much, right? But they are there, right? They are there. It's our duty to identify them. So Prabhupada has helped us. He has established, he has helped he himself is Paramahamsa. He has established his disciples, and many of his disciples are also, Paramahamsas. They are great personalities. They have sacrificed so much of their lives. They have sacrificed so much of their time. Most of their life is dedicated to serving. Like for example, His Holiness Jayapataka Swami, At the age of 19, he took sannyas. No, was it 20? I think 21. 19 or 21. At very young age, Prabhupada gave him sannyas and told him to dedicate his life. So for 50 years, now he's 70 something, 76, I think. For more than 50 years, he has been a sannyasi, dedicating himself fully in the service of the Supreme Personality of God, fully in the service of Prabhupada. So there are definitely many such great personalities. So we should take them and accept them and as our guide, and we should take up spiritual life seriously. Oh rishis who are as powerfully pure, Aryama, right? So now Sutta Goswami is glorifying the rishis. So Aryama is the deity of the sun and one of the sub-incarnations of the Lord. He came as Aryama. Remember, we mentioned Aryama in the chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. So now he's glorifying them. Oh, rishis, you're all so effulgent, just like the sun. All of you sitting together like this. So one may think he's trying to be funny, because just before the sages themselves describe themselves that they have been doing fire sacrifice for 1,000 years, that they are now covered in soot and they are blackish because the soot has covered them and their bodies are black with the smoke. But now here Sutta Goswami is saying, oh, you are effulgent like the sun. But actually he means what he's saying, because his vision is not material. Sutta Goswami is not looking at the material bodies of the sages who is covered by soot. He is looking at the inside, looking at the enthusiasm here. So therefore, he's saying, "Oh, you who are as powerful as the sun, powerfully pure as the sun. I shall try to describe to you the transcendental pastimes of Vishnu." Vishnu means all-pervading. What is the meaning of the word Vishnu? Vishnu describes the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, right? And it means one who is all-pervading. He's everywhere. That is the meaning of Vishnu. So I will try to describe. Why try? Because we just heard, right? The Lord is unlimited. Nobody can describe him completely unless he's the Lord. So therefore, I will try to describe to you the transcendental pastimes of the all-pervading Lord as far as my knowledge is concerned. So the speaker can describe as far as his realizations allow. So that's why we should always seek out pure devotees whenever we can find them, right? So, because the higher and higher realizations we can hear, the more we hear from great devotees. So, but still they are rare. So it's not every day we can get this opportunity. But now, fortunately, with online and all that, we have Facebook, we have YouTube recordings. We are able to hear Srila Prabhupada. We are able to hear many of the Maharajas. So it's very nice. This is one of the good things in happening, so we can at least hear from them, but it's not as powerful as hearing live. When devotees come, we must go and hear from them live. So that is very, very powerful. So Sutta Goswami is saying, so I can only try to describe as far as my understanding and my knowledge allows, just like birds fly in the sky as far as their capacity allows. So different birds can fly at different capacity. You know, the crow can fly from building to building. The duck can fly from country to country. The swans can fly from continent to continent. So, and similarly, the eagle can fly very, very high altitudes. No other bird can fly as high as the eagle. So, in the same way, different personalities have different capacities, but it doesn't matter. Different capacities, but it's all from the same foundation. It's all from the same wellspring of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, the more we hear from pure devotees directly, the more we become benefited, as far as our enthusiasm is also powerful. So do the learned devotees describe the Lord as far as their realization allows. So this realization can come if we are sincere and if we keep to the description and conclusion of the previous acharyas. By following strictly in the conclusions of the previous acharyas, then the mercy will flow within our heart because Paramatma is in our heart. And it's from him comes remembrance, intelligence, and everything, right? So the Lord guides from within the heart. Uh, what's that verse? Tesham satatam yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayanti te. So sitting in the heart, the Lord reveals the knowledge to that person who is trying to follow in the footsteps of the acharyas strictly. So therefore, we can also do that. So we have to find such people. Okay, so now he begins to narrate. So now Sutta Goswami begins to narrate. I will just stop at this point. Once upon a time, Maharaj Parikshit, while engaged in hunting in the forest with bow and arrows, became extremely fatigued, hungry, and thirsty while following the stags. And then what happened? So now he's trying to say what happened at cost. Now he's telling the story. So for that, we have to wait for the next session. It's already going to be 9:30, so we'll stop here today, right? I leave you with a cliffhanger. So, Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Grantaraj Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. So now we open for any questions or any clarification. If anybody has anything they'd like to share or clarify, feel free.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhuji.
Prabhu, when there was, the Asuras and uh, Asuras and the Devas was crunching the ocean.
Mm,
There appear a lot of materials.
mm,
One of them is Lakshmi and Surabai cow.
mm.
They are already existing on this planet. Why again they crunch out?
No, they were not existing at that time. So this was very much in the beginning of the creation. This was during Satya Yuga. So in Satya Yuga, certain things were not there yet. Like Surabika wasn't there, the Parijata tree wasn't there, Airavata wasn't there yet. So these were special benedictions, special boon. Even other people, like even Apsaras, Apsaras, the Ramba, Ramba, Menaka, all these people, they also came from the ocean only. They were created at that time.
But Vishnu's wife is Lakshmi, isn't it?
What's that?
She also not there.
Yeah, because she was originally from the spiritual world, but she came to the material world in this form. So everybody, in the material world, everything there's a time, right? So like Lord Krishna showed himself 5,000 years ago, although he was already existing in the spiritual world. The Lord is Aja. Uh, he's without birth, but he needs an entrance to enter into the material world. So he decided to come 5,000 years ago. So like that. So Lakshmi also, she didn't come at the time Brahma created the universe. So Lakshmi wasn't created by Brahma. So Lakshmi came through the spiritual world. She took away to come in the spiritual world through this churning of the milk ocean. Same thing like Surabhi also. Surabhi also came from the spiritual world. So in Goloka Vrindavan, Surabhi cows are there. So how she entered into the material world? Through this way. So that's how it came, Prabhu.
Okay, Prabhu, okay, thanks. And the second question, Prabhu,
Mm,
when Ganga was coming from the lotus feet towards this material planet,
mm,
and here in Srimad Bhagavatam 1:18-21, it says that this very water, Gangas, is purify the whole universe, including Lord Shiva. What
mm.
does it mean?
Yeah, so I mentioned that I talked about this earlier just now. So Lord Shiva is very eager. So Vaishnavas, Lord Shiva is the greatest of the Vaishnavas, Vaishnavanam Yata Shambhu. So he is very eager to, because what happened, Lord Brahma gave this water to Lord Shiva in the form of arghya. Arghya is like a cup. He collected it in his water pot. But Lord Shiva wasn't satisfied. His greed for this Charanamrita was so great that he wanted to bathe in it. So anyway, so therefore it purifies even Lord Shiva, because Lord Shiva, he is the Lord of the mode of ignorance. So by his sweet mercy, by the mercy of Lord Shiva, he decided to become the Lord of the mode of ignorance. Why? So that those people in the mode of ignorance can at least be saved. There are different people in different modes. Not everybody is happy to accept Lord Vishnu as their Lord, right? So people in the mode of ignorance, they need someone who is like them, apparently like them, so that they can follow them. So therefore, Lord Shiva took that position. So therefore, he carries skulls around with him. He has a necklace of skulls, and then he smears himself with the ashes from the crematorium, and then he dresses himself with snakes. So he looks like in the mode of ignorance. It looks like like some Naga Baba. You have seen some pictures of the Kumbh Mela where some of them they dress up in this kind of way. So it looks like he's in ignorance, but he's not. Of course, Lord Shiva is beyond, but he accepts the mode of ignorance. He accepts the three modes of nature. That's why he embraces Durga, because Durga is manifesting the three modes of nature. So as he embraces Durga, he is accepting the three modes of nature, which is considered a contaminant. So therefore, for his purification, he takes the Charnamrita of the Lord to purify himself of the three modes of nature, even though he accepts it. So that's
So
why.
that means there's a two functions going on, Lord Shiva. One, he himself purifies. Two, he stop the impact of this Ganga towards the earth
Mm,
to stabilize it, right?
yes, correct.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Okay, Haribo. So Lord Shiva also shows us the example, because he is the greatest of Vaishnavas. He shows what we must do also as Vaishnavas. So in any festival, we should all be greedy for Charnamrita. That should be the first thing we should take. Of course, Lord Shiva can drink a lot. We cannot drink a lot. So we can take 1 cup. If we now that's very fortunate. Normally Charnamrita is given in drops, right? So we should be greedy for the first thing. We should try to break our fast with Charnamrita. That becomes very powerful. Mm. So he's showing us that example of how much we should glorify and take shelter of Charnamrita. Right. So I see some question here, and also the nectar of immortality was there, which was the objective of churning the ocean of milk. Yes, for the Devatas and the Asuras, they wanted to access the Charnamrita. So there were many things that came out. Lakshmi Devi was the eighth item that came out from the ocean of milk, and after that came the Apsaras and a few other things. And the last thing to come out was was the Amrita. So Lord Vishnu came in the form of Dhanvantari, and he carried the Amrita, the nectar of immortality, in a pot. So and then he came out of the ocean and he distributed it. Yes, that's correct. Right. Anything else? Any other questions? Okay, then there's a question. Wasn't there another version of Ganga? Was when Lord Vishnu was so immersed in listening to Lord Shiva singing that the layer of his body melted away and was collected in Lord Brahma's Kamandulu. I've not heard of this. Maybe this is from the other Puranas. So there are different versions of the story which appears in different Puranas. So, but we must understand that the Puranas are divided into the Puranas in the mode of goodness, the mode of passion, and the mode of ignorance. So, those in the mode of ignorance, the actual story is actually put in illusion. So there's a lot of illusion aspect in whatever that's being described. It is done that way so that it attracts people in the mode of ignorance towards the glorification of a particular deity. So the mode of ignorance, the lord of the mode of ignorance is Lord Shiva. And whatever Puranas which are in the mode of ignorance is meant to bring the people who are attracted in the mode of ignorance to worship Lord Shiva, to bring them towards Lord Shiva. So therefore, the same pastimes of the churning of the milk ocean, it may be described in other Puranas in the other modes, but there will be variations according to the modes. So where do we get the pure version? The pure version is found in the mode of goodness. So Puranas in the mode of goodness, like Vishnu Purana, Padma Purana, like that. But even even the mode of goodness, the ultimate version is found in the Purana, which is beyond the three modes, which is transcendental to the three modes. So that alone describes the actual occurrence of what happened. So Srimad Bhagavatam is in that position, the Amala Purana. So whatever other versions we see in the other Puranas, we must understand that these are suitably modified with illusion, included with illusion, so that it's suitable for people of that nature. But if we want to know the ultimate truth, the ultimate version, then we must accept that version which is found in the Puranas, which is in the mode of goodness, or directly which is given in the Srimad Bhagavatam. I hope that explains, Prabhu. All right. So if there's nothing else, then we can end here. If any other further questions, anything further you'd like to clarify, feel free to put it in the chat, in the WhatsApp. Happy to answer these questions. All right. Let us end by chanting the holy names of the Lord, by first invoking the mercy of the Panchatattva. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadara, Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you everyone for your time and your patience. I'll see you again in the next session. Right?
Thank you, Prabhu. Pranams to you.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Pranam.